Hey all, this is Miss Chenoweth, and this demo is for working with oil pastels. So after you have your basic color properties on your page, you're ready for the Master of Mixing. And what we want to explore is the three properties of color: hue, value, and intensity. And let's go ahead and get started. So what you'll need is a box of oil pastels. And these are Crepaz, which is a pretty nice brand of oil pastels. And we're basically going to use the three primary colors. All right, so you want to have those at your disposal. One thing you might need to do a little bit of is just clean them up a little bit. So what I like to do is I'll just take like my fingernail or even just a piece of paper, and I'll go ahead and just clean off any of like the crud that gets on there. All right, for lack of a better word. There's a little bit of mixed color on there, so I'm just going to clean it off. You can also do that on, just like a scrap piece of paper. Yellow is the one that really gets crudded up quickly, so I'm just kind of like getting some of that off of there. Alrighty, and try not to have it like brush on your paper. That's another thing with oil pastels. But I'm just going to take, like a piece of scrap paper, and you can see what happens if your yellow is not clean or your colors are not clean. They're all going to kind of mix around, so you just have to be conscious of that as you're working with oil pastels. Sometimes you can come back and go like that and scratch it off, but yeah, not so good. All right, so anyway, we're going to start after we've got this. You're going to work directly on your sketchbook, but I'm just doing a series of demos. So for this, I'm just going to make 3 circles, and we want to explore the primary hues and also create secondary hues by blending the two. I'm going to just kind of make 3 circles, have them overlap. You can see a cup works great for making 3 circles. If you have a smaller cup, that's just as well too, like a little Dixie size cup. And there we go. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is, one thing you'll notice is that when you're working with oil pastels, and I still want to get that a little cleaner, you'll notice that if you start with a drawing, you can see how the pencil will just kind of blend in. So if you're planning on using oil pastel, you don't want that pencil to kind of mix in, but sometimes it's always nice to start with the pencil drawing. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of lighten that pencil, especially if you're using yellow. You don't really want to see the lines mixing into the yellow or your colors. So just take your eraser and just kind of, lighten that up a little bit and get the eraser marks off of there. All right, so now I'm ready to go. All right, so I'm just going to, for this experiment, I just want to try mixing and blending colors. And so I'm starting with my lightest color first and putting it at the top. And yellow is your lightest color. And I like going around a shape first and then filling it in. It's just kind of like a neat way to get things done. This color you can push around a lot, so I do try to get rid of the white of the paper. And then what I like to do is just use kind of like a piece of scrap paper. And sometimes I'll like roll it up. Sometimes I'll use it more flat. Like right for now, I'm just going to use it kind of flat like this. And I'm just going to push the color around and just kind of make it fill the space. And then that way it's covering up all the white in my drawing paper. But as you can see, you can still see that it is somewhat transparent. I'm still seeing those pencil lines. So just something to kind of be aware of. All right, I think that looks pretty good. All right, going for my next color, red. And before I mix it with the yellow, I just want to fill, the space that I want to be a nice bright red. Again, I like going around in a circle first. And then try to fill the rest of it out. Sometimes it's nice to have things going a similar direction. I'm not pressing down super hard either. I just want to quickly fill the space. Alrighty, go in there. Alright, want to get some more color down. And now I'm going to come in and just go over top of these colors here. And then I'm going to do that blending technique again, but this is kind of cool too. You can see kind of like some cool textural effects, you know, if you wanted to use something kind of fun like that. It's all good, it's all good. All right, and then I'm going to use my blender again, but I don't want to use the yellow part, so I'm just going to fold it around so I don't mix yellow into my red. And I'm just going to kind of like push it like this, and you can kind of see this gives me a smooth texture. And I'm just pushing it really hard into the paper and just kind of moving it around. Ah, now those pencil lines are coming back. I couldn't see those a minute ago. Alrighty, so there we go. Whoops, I got a little bit of that in the blue. Didn't really want to do that. All right, now I'm actually gonna just play here. I'm gonna go back to where I had this yellow on my paper. And I'm just gonna kind of mix those two colors together. And again, I'm trying to control it, so I might need to turn this around a little bit just so I can see what I'm doing here. All right, so now I'm getting this really beautiful sort of orangey color as I'm looking at these two colors sort of mixing together. Voila! All right, so that's one look to it. I could even come back and, you know, maybe if I wanted to, I could put more yellow on top if it doesn't seem like an even blend, but that's up to you. All right, and last but not least, again, I'm going to go around. Oops, messed up already. I'm going to go around in a circular fashion. And again, if I was doing this myself, I would, you know, or doing this in a work of art, I would probably move more slowly so I don't, you know, have mess ups and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. Keep your concentration and move kind of slowly and gradually. All right, so when I first lay a color down, I do really like to, you know, fill the space really well. And I do like to use the blending technique. All right, I'm going to fold this over again so that I don't get my yellow and red mixed in there as I start to blend the blue. And let me just go ahead and put some of the blue on top here. And again, since blue is so dark, I'm going much lighter with the blue. All right, so I'm still making my blue circle, but I'm going to go lighter with blue because it's a much darker color, and I want to see the color mix happen pretty well. I'm trying to get that even. All right, so first step, I want to just get the blue and mix that in there, where it's supposed to be pure solid blue. Pushing it around really nice. And I love, you know, making some of my own art tools. I mean, this is just a piece of scrap of white paper off of a old envelope. It's fun too. You can do like some scratchy things into it sometimes. I don't know if you can kind of see that, but I'm seeing like little scratch marks, so you can do textural fun things with this material. Right, just push it out to the edge. And I might want to come back because this really got kind of fuzzy right here. So I'm going to come back and clean that edge up a little bit and make that look like a harder line coming around there. All right, going back to my blender again. This time I'm just going to unwrap it, get some cleaner paper here, and try not to get any red on there as I'm mixing with the blue. All right, and just go ahead and mix the two together and see what happens. And you can kind of see these little scratch marks happening in here. That's kind of fun. Makes an interesting texture. Need some music in the background here. All right, so you can kind of just mix it. I may want to come back over top again, you know, with the yellow if I, you know, feel like it's not dark green enough, and just see what happens. Here I'm getting some of those heavier boogers there. I like to just pull them out with my finger. All right, trying to get it clean again. And then just go ahead and mix. All right, now what happens if I just go with the red and the blue? It should get a really nice purpley color. I don't know why that little part turned out so small, but it did. And then last but not least, what happens when I mixed all of them together? Getting like a really neutralized sort of brownish color. Okay, so voila, there we have it. The other thing that you're noticing here, you'll see like these little boogers. I just try to like gently sort of brush those aside. All right, the next thing we're going to try is we're going to try value with color. So one of the properties of color is value. And I'm just going to make like a 4-inch little rectangle using my ruler. And one over here. And I forgot to label that first drawing, so I'm going to go back to that. We're going to label this. Ooh, picking up some pastel there. All right, so these are our primary colors. So we have our 3 primaries, blue, red, and yellow. So they're our primaries. And when you mix them together, you get your secondary. So you want to label this just so you kind of remember your vocab. Another secondary color right here is purple. And then the other secondary is orange. All right, so we've got secondaries in those. And then in the center here, when you mix it all together, you get what's called a neutral color. Am I spelling that right? I'm not sure if I'm spelling that right. I think I spelled that right. All right, I think I spelled it wrong in another one of my videos. So that's when you mix, you know, your 3 primaries. So when you have yellow, red, plus blue, I just say plus, they all kind of like neutralize each other out. All right. All right. So for this part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my colors plus white.